out here on VSIN, the Sports Betting Network.
Cashing Out continues with me, Joe Ceraulo, and our friend Tony Cutillo joining us here on the Progressive Guest Line. Just got some MLB futures from Tony. High on the Reds, over 78.5 wins. Arizona, which I couldn't love more, my man, over 86.5 wins. And, I mean, I don't know about you because your play was the win total. I'm all in on the D-backs to make the playoffs, even laying 25 cents. What are your thoughts there?
100%. I mean, I think that's just going to get even more juicier as the season goes. I mean, as spring training goes on, that's probably going to be minus 135, minus 140 in my opinion. So, because I think it's a definite with that 1, 2, 3, they can stay healthy. Man, I'll tell you what, man. I know they lost a couple players. I think they lost Christian Walker, and they got Josh Naylor instead. A little different of a player, but Naylor could actually be a little more productive than Walker in the right, in that lineup. So yeah, 100% to make the playoffs.
Yeah, man, I think Naylor's gonna mash at that. I mean, that's one of the most hitter-friendly parks in the league. You think about that thin, dry air out there in the desert. I mean, the only place where the ball probably flies more is, of course, Coors Field in Colorado. I think Naylor's going to be a 30 home run guy. You can get plus money on 25 home runs for Naylor going into this season. And then you mentioned the pitching. They got the 1-2-3 punch. It's also deep. Erod, Brandon Pfaadt, Jordan Montgomery is like a swing option, sixth man in the rotation. Maybe the bullpen. He had a down year, of course, but we all know what he's capable of. I mean, Arizona just has so much to be excited about. I'm really jazzed up about this team.
Yeah, and listen, and they've stood the test of time too. I mean, this is a team that is very accustomed to winning. It's not like we're just
now
picking them all. They're there every year, and they essentially play in one of the best, if not the best division in baseball, right? So for them to be able to hit 85, 86, 89 wins consistently and then just continue as a younger team to get better and better, I think the sky's the limit for Arizona, man. They showed me a lot when they bounced the Phillies out 2 years ago. They did. And I know it's a little different team. A lot of those guys are still the same. And I'll tell you what, Joe, I love Ketel Marte. One of my favorite players in baseball.
Oh, how could you not? How could you not? You look at what they did 2023, man. Barely made the playoffs. Really down year for the National League. The Marlins squeaked into the playoffs. It was a weak wild card class. Arizona squeaks in. They turn that into a pennant. Then in 2024, they have an even better regular season, but the NL is so stacked they can't get into the playoffs. Now I think you'll see a similar regular season as we saw in 2024, but I think you'll see this Arizona team get to the playoffs again, where they, frankly, you and I know this, belong. Tony, let's go over to the NBA here. Before we dive into Wednesday night's slate, anything from Tuesday that really stood out to you? I mean, for me, Milwaukee covering on the hook, laying 5.5, winning by 6 in Atlanta. You got a Giannis triple-double there. Anything else, any game across the league that really stood out to you, games that you made money on maybe?
Ah, man, listen, I like I said to you when I came on, man, I went 6-0 last night on some props tonight, almost clean sweep, went 3-1. It was one of the guys that I was really targeting tonight. Again, I don't know why there's no love for Gary Trent Jr. in the books. Like, no love. Like, this dude just consistently hits the over on points all the time. Again, tonight was over 11.5. He hits 15, smashes it. And literally, like, some nights he's over 7.5, over 8.5 for plus money. I don't get it. So I was in on Gary Trent Jr. tonight. Again, that game, the Milwaukee game, I took him and Kevin Porter Jr. Over 7.5. He smashed it 15 too. So that game specifically was one I was really zoned in on from a betting perspective. And I was all in on Aaron Nesmith tonight, man. Aaron Nesmith won me some money, over 11.5 points in that Indiana game. He's a guy that's been filling up the stat board, man, consistently each game.
I love it, Tony. Let's get to Wednesday. Let's start with this Oklahoma City Memphis game we've got on the board. The Thunder laying 8 on the road. Not too many teams going to Memphis laying that many on the road, but OKC is different this year. Start off with the Grizzlies side, targeting a big man with the absence of Triple J down there in Memphis.
Yeah, man. Listen, the over and under in this game is the highest on the slate right now, 248.5, man. That, and so they're already expecting this game to be a little out of hand. I'm going with the big guy, Zach Edey, man. I love this over 9.5 points. Listen, he has 42 points in his last 3 games. I mean, like, I know people say different games, different matchups. I get all that, but you can't look past 42 points in 3 games and you're getting an over and under double digits. Like, that's just unheard of to me. So for me, Zach Edey, all things considered, over 9.5, man, I think it's an absolute steal.
How about on the Thunder side of things? You got 2 props there for OKC on the road?
Yeah, man. Listen, last week we really hit on Jalen Williams. And again, another number that we got super early, right? And I tell people all the time, get these numbers super early. But let's go with the guy. Listen, SGA, man, it's just been an absolute stud. Whether he wants to be the face of the league or not, doesn't matter. Looking at this game, if the over and under is going to be 248.5, there's going to be a ton of opportunities for long rebounds to kind of start the fast break in this game. Over 4.5 is so low for Shy. His ceiling is between 5 and 8 over his last 13 games. So I have no doubt in my mind that he's going to hit this number. And then on the other side, well, actually on the same side in this game, I like Aaron Wiggins, man. Over 12.5 points. He's averaging 14 points per game in his last 15, going up against a middle of a road defense in a high scoring game. Give me Wiggins at over 12.5 points.
Yeah, that middle of the road defense been bottom 5 since the All-Star break. They just had that total of 250 against Atlanta. Went over that with 262 in their last game out. So I like the plays on OKC, my man. Tell me about this MVP race. Is this a done deal? Jokic now 5-1. Longest he's been in quite a bit was 3-1 recently. SGA was as short as -500, now -650, coming off a 50-piece performance. Is this over?
Yeah, man. I listen. I think it just goes with when you start hearing the push within the NBA about face of the league, face of the league, face of the league, and you hear so many people say nobody wants it. They want to just anoint guys and this and that. They do. They want to anoint SGA. You know why? Because he's a good guy, right? He doesn't come with baggage. They want him to be the face of the league, and if they want him to be the face of the league, there's no way in my mind are they not going to push for him to be the MVP. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve it, right? But just, and then finally say, okay, Jokic, you had your time, right? You had your time. That's going to be stale. Let's go with the new guy. Let's try to make him the face and give it to SGA. So I do. I think it's over, man. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, how do you not love this guy? He really is, to your point. He is so likable. He's such a stud. Also, in a league where star players play increasingly less defense, he is maybe the best two-way player in the entire league. So easy guy to root for, easy guy to want to be the face.
That's a great point because, everybody forgets. Now I'm going to say, I'm an older guy, so everybody wants to get in that LeBron, Michael take. But the one thing about his airness, man, when, he was a two-way player. Like he worked on his defense and won defensive player of the year. So he was a two-way player. And you don't see a lot of that, like you said, in SGA. He's taken over that Michael and Kobe style of play.
Ooh.
And he's really giving us something to enjoy.
I love it, my man. Hey, how about another prop? Take us out to the Mile High City, Denver, laying 6 against a Sabonis-less Sacramento Kings team. First off, Tony, what are your thoughts? Would you lay the 6 with the Nuggets in this spot and then give me the prop that you love?
I think I would, man, because Sacramento they just don't have enough for me, man. Like without Sabonis, they just don't have enough. And, I would definitely lay the points. The Denver is just too strong. I mean, that's just the second highest over and under. I think it was at 235, 236.5 last time I checked. So, and speaking of no Sabonis, man, like Keegan Murray is my pick. He's my Jalen Williams of last week. Over 5.5 rebounds. His range over his last 13 games is anywhere between 6 to 8. And here's how I know we're on the right trail, Joe, because I put this number in before, and guess what? It's already dropped. When I put it in, it was -110. It is now down to -120. And that is literally a difference of 26 minutes. So we got in early. This is a good one, man. This is a really good one.
Getting some good CLV there is our guy, Tony Cutillo. Make sure you follow him at the Tony Cutillo Show on Twitter. Tony, final 45 seconds here. Mavericks, Bucks, Milwaukee. It's a back-to-back. They're laying 9.5. Dallas is calling up you and I, asking us to suit up for them after the Kyrie injury. Would you lay it? Do you think Milwaukee wins by double digits?
Yeah, I do, man. I do. I this is just an emotional thing. It's just, you lose the Luka thing, and then you put all your weight on on Kyrie, and poor Kyrie's crying at the line with a torn ACL, taking a shot. It's over, man. It's over for Dallas. They want to refund season tickets, man. Like, there's nothing good coming out of this game. I think the B squad could win by double-digit points against this team right now. Yeah,
8% increase on Mavericks season tickets next year. What a joke their ownership is. Our friend Tony Cutillo, appreciate the time. At Tony Cutillo Show on Twitter. Check him out on Odd Shopper and Sirius XM Fantasy Radio as well. After the break, more cashing out with Joe Ceraulo as we look into a couple more MLB teams' season outlooks.